when you land it, I want to make sure it's nice and slow.
You insult me.
Prove me wrong. Okay, so today I'm going to be going out and filming a skateboarding piece, and we're going to be doing it out in a DIY skate park. I'm going to be testing the internal image stabilization of the S5 IIX, as well as the Face Detect autofocus and the dynamic range, because I know that we're going to be going in and out of shadows a lot. This is an 838, and I've just found it just gives me that little extra for flip tricks.
That's the best size.
Yeah. So there was a few things that I wanted to touch on with this camera that really helped me out when I was shooting this video. So the first one was battery life, and this camera actually has better battery life than I was expecting. I shot for a full 2.5 hours straight without turning the camera off, and it never died on me. It still had about 2 bars left on the battery health indicator, so that was really nice. Now this was my first real test with this camera, actually, putting it through its paces, and I shot in a few different modes. I shot in 4K 24, 4K 60, as well as 120 frames per second in 1080p, and I was definitely at home when it came to going through the menus and changing my settings around. I've mentioned this before, but I have been using Lumix cameras for a really long time, so even though there's a lot more things to choose on this camera than a lot of the other cameras that I've used, it wasn't confusing at all. So I could just kind of go throughout the menus, pick exactly what I wanted, and it was pretty easy. Something else that I really liked, which was to be expected, but it's the image stabilization. So the nice thing about this camera with the IBIS as well as the OIS on this lens, rolling on a skateboard, it looks like you're on a gimbal, which is pretty crazy. So even though here in Portland, I can typically count on some pretty cloudy days, but on this day in particular, the clouds were kind of rolling in and out. So we did get some harsh sunlight throughout the day, but because this camera has such good dynamic range, I was able to still keep the detail in the shadows without completely clipping out my highlights, which is really nice. Yeah, that thing.
Looking at this.
Yeah, no. You're good. Oof, that was it. So you can just kind of skate around, and I'm gonna try to get some establishing shots from the outside of the fence. So I did want to talk about lenses really quickly, and Lumix was nice enough to lend me some lenses for these videos, and I've been able to test them out for a while. The first one that I used probably the most was this Lumix 24-105. This is a really just solid lens, and it's basically a workhorse. 24 millimeters all the way to 105 at f4, which if you're coming from the micro four thirds world, that's like having a 12 to 50 f2 constant. So this is a really, really versatile lens, and I was able to get some wide shots, but then again, zoom in and get some really nice detail shots as well. So because I was filming skateboarding, having a wide angle lens was pretty important to me. So that's when I used the kit lens. This is the 20-60, and this is a really great lens, and I feel like some people kind of sleep on this, but this 20-60 is great. It's f3.5 to 5.6, not a constant aperture, but again, 3.5 is plenty bright for most situations, and 20 millimeters is right at that sweet spot where it's not quite a fisheye, but it's a really nice wide angle lens. So in full frame terms, fisheyes are usually around 15 millimeters, so this is only a little bit more cropped in. So there was a couple of things that I noticed about this S5 IIX that I kind of wanted to touch on real quick. So the first one was reliability. That's something that Lumix cameras to me have always been known for. I never experienced any overheating or any malfunctions in the camera while shooting this video, which is really important because especially when you're shooting action sports where maybe the athlete only has like one shot to land it, you don't want to have some kind of file corruption or overheating happen right in the middle of a trick. Another thing was color science. I really do like the colors that are coming out of this S5 IIX, especially in Vlog. I found that I can just set it to 5600 Kelvin, shoot in daylight color temperature, and the colors coming out of the camera look really, really good. No skin tone issues. So that's another thing that's a really positive feature about this camera, is that you don't have to do a bunch of tweaking in post just to get your skin tones right. Okay, so I just got done cutting the footage together, and I gotta say, I am really pleased with the results. The S5 Mark IIX has just such a high-end look that everything you shoot on it just looks so good. It's essentially a cinema camera in a mirrorless camera body. So getting that high-end look is just so easily achievable. So let me know what you thought about that footage in the comment section below. I do want to say another big shout out to Panasonic for sponsoring this video. And if you would like to watch some more of my videos, you can click right over here. And remember, like I always say, you gotta go.